Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm really excited about this channel. It's been 30 years plus that I've been playing fantasy football and always look forward to doing something, in a medium. It didn't obviously materialize with on the web, but a YouTube channel, even better as far as I'm concerned. Today, we're going to start off by looking at quarterbacks. What you just talk about the quarterback landscape. What's that going to look like in 2023 this year? And I'm going to be looking at mostly redraft when I'm going to be looking at rankings and doing other things like that. It's going to be basically a redraft. I mean, we might pop up a dynasty or a best ball or something like that, but for the most part, I'm looking at dynasty. And I know it doesn't matter for quarterback, but when we get into running back, receivers, and then of course throughout the summer and then when season starts, we're going to be really looking at. I'm going to use PPR. I honestly, I still play a non PPR league. So we just haven't changed. So I know there's some out there, but I know PPR is the most common now. That's made that switch over the last few years. So I'll be using that pretty much as my for default rankings. But today we're going to be looking at quarterbacks for 2023, and starting off the top three. And I use tiers. I like to use tiers. So, that first tier, and I think it's universal everywhere, is going to be Mahomes, Hurts, and Allen. All right, they're universally that's going to be your first tier. Those are 1, 2, and 3 ranked. However you want to put them, you can't argue with any of it. If you want to take Hurts one, if you want to take Allen one, Mahomes one, you can't argue with any order you have those guys. So I think that's pretty much an easy one. I'm looking at 4 and 5. I'm looking at Burrow and Lamar Jackson. I think Burrow is going to be really knocking on the door of that first tier. Lamar Jackson, certainly we know what he can do. I mean, his upside is tantalizing of what he did back in 2019, just for historical example, right? The last 2 years have been injury plagued, so you're worried about that. But you look back at 2019 and even the end of 2020, he turned it on there in the playoffs. But 21 and 22 that was very injury plagued. Started off pretty hot and then everything kind of went downhill after that and lost from injury. So you're looking for that 2019. It can be there. And so I think that's why at number 5, I'm fine with him there. So I would have him at 5, and Burrow and Jackson really in a tier themselves. So you're looking at a tier there with those two. If you're looking next, I would probably have Fields 6, Herbert 7, and Trevor Lawrence 8 in their own tier. Right. Fields, we know what he can do with rushing, like he did last year. The passing wasn't really there. He was really dependent on his rushing to get you points for the most part. Even towards the end there, like even that Lions game, that Eagles game last year, a couple of touchdown passes he had were broken. They were basically broken coverage. So we have to really hope he really ascends in his passing this year, without a doubt. The rushing, will he do what he did last year? I don't know. I mean, obviously he broke down a little bit at the end there, but obviously his skills they're just off the charts of what you could get with him if he turns that page, kind of a la Jalen Hurts last year, right? All right. Yeah, he wasn't looked at as a great passer. A lot of his was rushing. And then last year he made that leap. So this is Fields' third year. So, maybe he'll do the same thing. So I definitely, because of that, would have him at 6 without a doubt. Herbert, I think Herbert is going to do a lot better this year. I really do. He's kind of like the one down here where I think he's really going to outplay his ADP. And with Kellen Moore coming in and with Lombardi out and Moore in, I think you're going to see some downfield passing more. Herbert basically was checking down last year, but he has a cannon for an arm. So, you have Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston that they just drafted this year can stretch the field. They really didn't have a field stretcher last year. Jalen Guyton actually People might say, well, but Jalen Guyton actually was a field stretcher in that and really helped with that. And he wasn't really around. I think he was injured last year a lot. Josh Palmer, tried that a little bit too. But I think you're going to see Johnson come and be a field stretcher. Mike Williams obviously can get down the field. Obviously he's great at contested catches, so he doesn't have to have a lot of separation. So, and of course you have Keenan Allen and Eckler. So I think he's really gonna do really well this year. And Trevor Lawrence too. I think Lawrence is going to continue to go as well too. You bring Calvin Ridley in if he's still. I mean, I know we haven't seen him for a while, but if he's the Ridley that you saw back in 2020, there's no doubt that bringing him in the mix with Kirk and Evan Ingram out of the backfield, ETN. He's going to be, sky's the limit for him as well too. And I think he's even going to do better than he did last year. And he actually, and the thing I like about Lawrence too, is he will add some rushing as well too. He has no problems running, and he might be able to get you 300 yards and 5 touchdowns in the year. So I love the rushing. After that, you have Deshaun Watson. Right now I can't put Deshaun Watson in that tier. I have him in the next tier, which is pretty much from 9 to like 17 in the same tier as far as I'm concerned, the next quarterbacks. But Watson can have the rushing. I know he came back last year after 11 games, and he didn't really look all that great. The last couple games, a little bit better in the last couple games. So maybe now with a full season and practices and so forth, he turns it back to the way it was in 2020. Next year, this year, that certainly can happen. But right now, I'm going to stick him at 9, and with the big rest of the bunch, who I think is a whole tier. So that's going to be, and I'm just going to rattle this off right now. That's going to be pretty much Watson, Dak Prescott. I think is in that tier. I don't know what McCarthy's going to do as far as he's scaling down the passing. It looked like he jettisoned Kellen Moore because Kellen Moore wanted to light up the scoreboard, and McCarthy wants to run the ball to give the defense a rest. So we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, I think I put Dak there at 10. I think Daniel Jones at 11. Cousins at 12. I like Cousins. I think if you're going to wait there, I like Cousins. I mean, he's just solid. I think he, not all right. He'll get you a little bit in the rushing there, maybe a touchdown here or there in the ground. But if you're going to wait that time, with his passing, he's just, it's just usually pretty solid. That what you're going to get with him. And then I think I would have, like I said, that was Prescott at 10. Daniel Jones at 11, Cousins at 12. Then I would have Rodgers at 13 and Tua at 14. Rodgers, Rodgers and Tua have questions. Tua looked really good last year, but he also, struggling with health. I think a lot of the games that he did really well were against bad defenses too. So you have to take that in consideration. However, you still can't argue with what he did. So, and I know the schedule's a little bit tougher this year. Rodgers certainly has Garrett Wilson. He brought his friends over with Cobb, Lazard. So, and then of course he has a couple good tight ends. They got Mecole Hardman there. So he has weapons there. Breece Hall out of the backfield if Breece is healthy. Michael Carter though can do that as well too if he ends up playing. So Rodgers has the pieces there. And then I think I would put at 15. I would put Anthony Richardson at 15. I think Anthony Richardson can have like a Jalen Hurts or a Fields-like year, meaning the passing may not be there, but the rushing could very well get him around. Get him top 10 value, maybe like 9 or 10 just from the rushing alone. So I think that's what you're kind of looking at with Richardson. And so I would have him at 15. And then I would have Russell Wilson at 16, who I'm kind of interested in this year. I know things were real bad last year, but with Sean Payton, it looks like Russell Wilson came back thinner this year now. I saw a report on that he lost weight. So, he never looked big, but he came back noticeably thinner. So, maybe all that'll help and, he can get back into it. But I'm really interested in Wilson this year. And then I probably would throw in, probably Jared Goff there next. So, and because Goff, I mean, he was really good last year. I mean, there's just no denying it. He really was. And that offense, Ben Johnson, the coordinator there, really calls great games. So I like Jared Goff there as well. If there's one other quarterback that I like that's really I mean, he's probably not even being drafted right now. And again, ADPs, I'm a little bit leery. It's only June, so I'm not going to really talk too much about them until we get through the summer and get some drafts going. But somebody right now that I think is listed probably fairly low that might be going at the end of drafts or maybe not at all. I haven't looked at Underdog's ADP for this, but that's Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is somebody that you could probably get pretty cheap, sit in your bench, see how it does, who can do really well. And if he doesn't, it's not a big deal. They have the number one strength of schedule for quarterbacks this year, I believe. Either them or New Orleans. But I think Green Bay is number one, and New Orleans is number two as far as strength of schedule with quarterbacks. Now we know how that goes, right? The defenses that weren't good last year could be really good this year. But still, it's something to think about, and it could be something that I'll put on my bench for that and see if that ends up happening. If he has a good schedule and ends up doing pretty well, so he could actually be a quarterback there that I like that you can get pretty late, if not as an undrafted free agent. So those are kind of the look of what I see in the quarterback landscape so far in 2023. Again, this could change. It's only June, so we'll revisit throughout the summertime before the games start. So the next time we're going to look at running back, probably look at a little bit more running backs. I'm still going to tier them, but we'll look at a little more running backs, and I'm going to look at some down the diamonds in the rough down below that I think could really blow their ADP out of the water. So that'll be what we do for the next episode. Thank you very much for being here. Please comment if there's anything that you want to say as far as how you rank things. If you want to say anything about what I did or how you feel about certain quarterbacks, please do so. And please like and subscribe. I really look forward to doing this and going on this ride and having a fantasy football community that we can talk about this. So I really look forward to it. So until next time,